Howdy beautiful people of the intranets. Welcome back to another episode of the E46 drift build. Welcome back if you're a returning watcher. If you're new here, welcome. Go check out my other videos to see what I've been doing with the car. So today on this episode, I'm going to be upgrading the cooling system because I don't know how old all the parts are on the car. The radiator, the top radiator hose sort of snout or spout or whatever stem you want to call it is cracked, so it's leaking, and the original header tanks or side tanks on the radiator are plastic, and they're like through multiple heat cycles they're just gonna get old and brittle, and I don't want a radiator blowing out on the track, so I'm going to be upgrading the cooling system with this aluminium Mishimoto radiator. So this looks like a really good radiator. Apparently they cool an extra 20 degrees, I believe. Now in saying that, I think that is Fahrenheit, not Celsius, because 20 degrees Celsius is actually quite a lot. I can't quite remember, and I don't know what the conversion is, but either way, it's going to cool better. So I've got that. I've also got a Mishimoto thermostat that opens at 70 degrees Celsius. I have a new water pump, a new thermostat housing. It does come with a thermostat which opens at 97 degrees Celsius, but I'm going to pop that out and put that into the new housing because this one opens at 70 degrees Celsius. And hopefully that'll keep the car a bit cooler when we're thrashing it on the track. I have a new expansion tank to go on there as well. Unfortunately, Mishimoto doesn't sell a aluminium expansion tank for the E46s. They do for the E36s. Not sure why they don't have one for an E46. They used to, by the looks of it, because there's a video on YouTube showing a guy installing an expansion tank on an E46. So I've just gone to my local BMW parts supplier and I've bought a good quality one, is what they said it was anyway, and the brand is Top Brand. It's a German brand, so they import the parts from Germany, and that's what they use to repair all their BMWs, is that Top brand. Got a new cap for the expansion tank. I've got a new water pump to go on there as well. So I'm upgrading from the plastic impeller type water pump to a cast steel or whatever it is water pump. I have new Mishimoto silicon radiator hoses to go on there too. And I've got a return hose. It's not a Mishimoto one because they don't make a Mishimoto one, but it's a Top brand as well that I got from the same place as the expansion tank. And the last thing, I've got a new coolant temperature sensor. That way we know that the temperature that's reading on the dash is going to be the correct reading, so we're not dicking around with old sensors that might be an incorrect reading. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give the cooling system a super flush. So before I pull it apart, I'm going to give the whole system a super flush. So I've actually put one of these bottles in the system already and run it up for 20 minutes. I'm going to drain the system now, so the radiator and the block. I'm going to catch a little bit so that we can see what color it comes out as, and then I'm going to dump another one in with some distilled water, just fill it up with distilled water, run it up for another 20 minutes, drain it out, catch it again, see if there's a difference. Then I'm going to fill it back up with just distilled water, not with this. Then I'm going to run it up for another 20 minutes, right? Flush it all out, drain it out, catch another one, see if there's another difference. Then I can pull all my stuff out and fit up the new water pump, thermostat, radiator, all that good stuff, and then refill it with Penrite coolant. The coolant you buy from, like the genuine coolant that you buy from BMW is blue. So when I was at Super Cheap Auto, I was looking at the blue stuff, but it didn't say suitable for BMW on it. But this green stuff says that it's suitable for BMW, so I just bought this stuff instead. Yeah, so once all that's done, gotta fill it up with that good stuff, run it up, obviously test for leaks, and then that's about it. So yeah, hope you enjoy the video guys, and happy viewing. Alrighty. So we got some blue stuff by the looks of it. That's good that there's coolant in there. That means that the system's not going to be rusty or corroded or anything like that. So yeah, I'm still just thinking about the flushing, because if there's no rust and stuff in there, and dirt and grime and all that stuff, because it's been filled up with just water, might not have to do the whole flush, but I might do it anyway. That was alright. So I'm having a lot of problems getting this plug out of the block to drain the coolant. I'll show you. See that plug up there that my Allen key is in? Well, it undid a few threads, then locked up, then it tightened, then I tried to loosen it again, and then it locked up, and now I can't tighten it or loosen it. So now it is loosened off a couple of threads, so even if I want to tighten it back in and leave it and not worry about draining the block, I can't! Alrighty, so after some blood, sweat and tears, I have not been able to get that plug out of the block to drain the coolant, but I have managed to tighten it all the way back in. So I loosened it, tightened it, loosened it, tightened it, loosened it, tightened it, loosened it, tightened it, and finally got it to tighten all the way in so that the crush washer would seal the plug to the block. Bit of a pain in the ass because I want to drain all the coolant out of the block while I'm doing this flush. But maybe I'm just going to have to just like wait until when I do the water pump and yeah, see if I can get all the coolant to come out of the block that way. So yeah, anyways, we'll keep on trucking. Alright, now that that's over and I don't want to stab myself in the eye with a screwdriver anymore, I'm going to fill up the system with distilled water and another bottle of that radiator flush, run it up for 20 minutes and drain it out. So I was actually quite worried about not getting all this coolant out because I can't drain the old coolant out of the block. But as I'm filling this coolant up with the distilled water, or the cooling system with the distilled water, and I've got the bleed screw out, watch this. See how that's blue? It must be pushing all the old coolant out of the system, like out of the heater core, out of the block, whatever, as I'm putting this new stuff in. So that is a positive. It's foaming at the mouth. Alright, so now that I've cycled the engine, heated it up for like 20 minutes or so, going to drain it all again, and as you can tell I've changed clothes because the job before wasn't actually meant to take that long. It was meant to be a quick drain. I was gonna go and get some lunch, come back, then get changed. But it took nearly 3 hours just to do the first drain because of that stupid plug on the block. Anyway, gotta do that. Get another clear cup, fill it up, and see how much we've diluted the original coolant that's in there. Getting clear up. Still a tinge of blue to that, but it's definitely flushing out. All right, so I've just drained the system again, and now I'm gonna just fill it with distilled water, so I can flush any of the rest of the flushing agent out and any of the remaining blue coolant that's in the system out. So again, I'm going to fill the water up through here and then watch it push the old stuff out of the bleed hole. You can see it's the old stuff because it's actually steaming. So whatever hot coolant's in the block or whatever's left in the system, it's actually steaming out. Or it's pushing the stuff out, and you can tell it's the old stuff because it's steaming. And it's still a little bit blue. Alrighty, now that's all done, refilled with distilled water only. Time to do it all over again. Start it up, run it up, then drain it again. And then I can get started working on pulling everything apart. Right, run the car up, drained it, taken my last sample. It's not actually completely clear, but it is pretty close. So there's still a little bit of blue stuff in there, but I should be able to flush out the remnants with the new coolant when I put the car back together. So now that I've done that, I can go ahead and start pulling my radiator out and all the rest of the shit. Here's all the coolant samples side by side. So obviously number 1, 2, and 3. You can see how much of a difference is. Clearly a lot darker, pretty light, and it doesn't even look like there's much difference, to be honest. This is the old rad. You can see it's cracked around here. And these are just made out of plastic, as you probably very well know. Yeah, so don't really want that happening on the racetrack. Alrighty, so got all my parts out. Water pump, hoses, thermostat, radiator, and yeah, I'm gonna call it a night and come back tomorrow. So what I was saying in that last little clip there before my battery went flat was that I was gonna call it a night and then come back tomorrow and start putting everything back together. But I want to just put a little bit of RTV around the thermostat housing, just to sort of fail-safe it, because I've been watching a few videos and there's this guy on YouTube, he's really knowledgeable with E46s and the M52 style engine. And he said that the O-ring that's in the thermostat housing can go flat and then can leak, and then you have to go and prematurely change your whole thermostat housing. So if you put a little bit of liquid insurance around the O-ring, not on the actual O-ring itself, but just around the housing on the outside of the O-ring, then put it together, then that does help stop it from leaking. So yeah, I wanted to come into the shed tonight and do that, so that tomorrow my RTV would have had enough time to dry. So once everything else is in, I can fill it with coolant. And as I said at the start, I'm going to be putting a Mishimoto thermostat in it. So you're going to take the thermostat out of the housing, the original one, and then replace it. But I want to show you something that I've been just battling with for a little bit. All right, so I've pulled the thermostat out. So this is the 97 degrees one. I pulled that out of the new housing. And I've also pulled out this, I think it's a temperature thing to help warm up the thermostat or something. I can't, oh no, heat up the water inside the block a little bit, I think, just to get it to operating temperature. Anyway, that goes in here, all right? Which means that it sticks out through here, if that's gonna focus. Yeah, so that sticks out through there, right? And that slides over there and then clips in. The Mishimoto thermostat comes like this. All right, it's got this pin in here that actually goes further down here, but you have to remove this pin. And I kind of thought I had to do that, so then it would be able to slip over this, but I was having trouble like using my pointy nose pliers to make it move. And so it was starting to stress me out that was actually part of the whole thermostat. And I was thinking, well, how the hell does that go in there then? So yeah, I jumped online and read on the website that you have to remove the pin. So there's no instruction manual or whatever about it. There's no videos about that thermostat, installing that thermostat. But if you go onto the product itself on the website, on the Mishimoto website, there's like a small note that says the pin from the thermostat must be removed from the Mishimoto thermostat before installing into the original BMW plastic housing. So I thought, oh, okay, you have to remove it then. It says to remove it carefully with pliers. And I was trying to do it carefully with pliers before, but I couldn't get it to budge. But the way I ended up having to do it was this. I ended up having to get my side cutters because it was a better clamp. And I ended up like squeezing really hard on there. You can actually see there's an indentation on here. It's not going to focus, but just believe me. So I've had to hold that really tight and then twist that like back and forward, like, and then finally I got it to come out. So yeah, I just wanted to put this in here just in case somebody goes and does it in the future and then has trouble not working out how they're going to put this Mishimoto thermostat inside an original housing. So now that I've got that pin out, I can slip that over there. I'm not going to do it now because I've got my hands full, but I can slip over there and clip in, and then it'll be the same as the stock housing. So there we go. Got the Mishimoto 70 degrees thermostat in the original plastic housing. So yeah, as I was saying before, just going to put a bit of grey RTV just around the outside here, just to give it a bit of insurance. I'm not sure if I mentioned the YouTuber, but his name is the 50s Kid. He's a guy in America, California somewhere. Older sort of guy, but super knowledgeable, and his videos are so on point. Like he goes into so much detail, and for some reason they're not boring to watch, you know, and all he's doing is just explaining how to work on an E46. But yeah, like it's actually quite therapeutic, which is weird. But anyway. Good morning, we are back in the garage working on the cooling system upgrade. So I've decided to change the exhaust cam position sensor because I found some oil inside the plug, and also inside the socket on the loom where it plugs into the sensor itself. And it's even been sitting overnight, and like oil's dripped out of the plug, and where it's been resting, I'll show you. So that's the plug there, and it's actually leaked out. You can see where it's been resting, leaked out under there. And this is the sensor here, so oil must be getting through here somehow and then into the plug. So I've decided just to change it so it doesn't cause any issues in the future. Also, I wanted to change my my idler pulley, this one that's off here, because she's a little bit crunchy, and it was making a fair bit of noise. Just like at idling stuff, it's like a little bit like chattery. But I went to go get a new pulley, and they didn't have one like with a bearing and that in it. And the guy actually said that the hydraulic tensioner part of it is what actually makes it chatter. So he recommended to upgrade it to a mechanical tensioner. So this is it here. So now I've got to work out how to get that off and then this on. Apparently you've got to change the size of the bolt, and we looked up what the bolt was, and it gave a measurement on it, and he was kind enough to actually go out and get a bolt from his workshop. So hopefully it all fits up and I have no more dramas. I've got the old hydraulic tensioner out. Now I just need to work out how to get that to go in place of this. Alrighty, so that didn't work. Pretty sure it's the wrong tensioner pulley that they've given me. It's two different styles, earlier model and a later model. I got the earlier model when I meant to have the later model. Pretty sure that's what's happening, so that's great. So I guess it's back to the shop I go. It's annoying, it really is, but there is a positive, because when things don't work out, you learn all about, you know, that specific make and model of that car, and you know what works and what doesn't work and what's meant to go where and what's not meant to go where. So yeah, there is a positive to it. Alrighty, so we are back with a different style tensioner. We're pretty sure this is the right one now. So this is the old hydraulic tensioner. So these bolt holes here line up like this. And we can use the old bolts, hopefully we can use the old bolts from the tensioner to go through there and through there, and hopefully that's got enough thread sticking out, which, well, it looks like it is, but hopefully it doesn't have too much thread that it actually bottoms out in the hole and doesn't seat this housing properly. So we shall soon see. Alrighty, so got it on. Looks all good. Now time to put the water pump in and water pump pulley, and then put the belt on. So water pump's going in. Water pumps in. Belts back on. All fitting nice. Now I can start working on swapping over the expansion tank mount from the old radiator onto the new aluminium radiator, and then put the aluminium radiator into the car. Right, got the coolant expansion tank holder or mount on the aluminium radiator. It's a good thing I'm changing this radiator, because look at this. It's like peeled apart. It's all bowed and bent and clapped out. Time to chuck the radiator in. Whoop. Radiator is in. Now I can start putting the hoses on. Radiator hoses are in. New expansion tank's in. We just got to put the fan in and then top it up with fluid and start it up. Last piece of the puzzle. Alright, got the coolant in. Now time to start it up and bleed the system. Hopefully there's no leaks. Alrighty, that's all run up and all bled. Perfect, no leaks. I'm going to let it cool down, and then I'm going to wheel it outside, give it a wash down, and then to get any of that coolant that's you know, come out when I bled it and stuff. Wash that down, give it another run up, double check for leaks, and then it's ready to drift. Well, kinda. It's not ready to drift yet. Got a couple of more things to do, but I'm not going to tell you. You'll have to wait and see, and wait for the next episode. So yeah, gonna end this video here, guys. Thank you very much for watching, if you made it this far through. Hope you're enjoying the series. If you're new here, subscribe if you feel called to it. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And yeah, if you want to continue on watching the builds, please do. So hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Thanks guys, take it easy, peace. I can't!